What's up, everybody? Okay, I couldn't see my meter for the Yeti. Yes, I am awake. I made the mistake of I was exhausted at like 7, and I sent Samantha a message. I was like, "Hey, I'm what's it called? I'm exhausted. I'm gonna take a nap." And she calls me at like 10:30. She's like, "Are you asleep?" I was like, "Yeah, apparently." So I am wide awake right now. I'm going to actually switch over to my wireless pack. I've got the doggos out here with me. So let me, these batteries should be fully charged. I'm fully charged! Got its old reference. Let's see. Should I open up Discord? This is going to be very casual of a stream, as all the late night ones are. Remo's got his Nylabone. He's enjoying that, as you can see in the background right there. And they were just both out. Clara is under my desk. Hi, Clara. You good girl? Yeah. All right, let's switch over to the mic pack here. All right. And can you hear me? Probably not going to be as good as the Yeti, but it's wireless, so get my Lewis Rossman. Now, I did grab myself a cold glass with some whiskey stones, and here we go. I'm gonna have a glass of Angel's Envy tonight. How's that? Ooh, I love this stuff. Oh yeah, I should turn the giveaway on. We'll start with that and see how the night goes. How's that? Let's see. So, cheers, everybody. Hope you guys... It's officially Saturday, so... Is this considered day drinking? I don't know. I don't know if it's considered day drinking or not, if you... Although I technically did sleep. Yeah, let's turn the giveaway on. Because Nightbot is going to be plugging it. And it's a live stream, so... There we go. The giveaway is on. How's that? Oh, hang on. Saved. Okay, we should be good. So I've got 2 boards. I've already swapped the CPU on these. These are ones that were like cores that were sent in. People got a discount on a new one, and they sent these back before we're doing repairs, and I just fixed them at my leisure. I've got 2 boxes here, and I'm not going to obviously show the customer information. But just for my reference, this is for a guy named Kelly. So we're going to open this on stream to see what he sent this in. It sounds like a hot end short from his ticket. And the thing is, I only have a finite number of processors, so... I've got... Oh, it might help if I turn that camera on. What do you guys think? Let's see. There we go. Alright, let's see here. So these are all the LPCs I have left. I've got 5. That's it. The places that do have them, they want $60 a piece for them. I think I paid like $14 for these. So let's see. Just want to make sure that I don't have any customer information here. I like to record this stuff because sometimes people misrepresent what they say. So there's a packing materials. It says for a customer named Kelly. Just for my records. Let's see. Okay. So he did put his info in here. I appreciate when people do this. Like... There we go. So, there we go. I can link that. This is the board. I folded his information out of the way. So, I had already looked at the ticket. And he was cleaning his hot end, I guess. If this is the one I'm thinking, let me pull it up real quick on my system here. Oh, yeah, they're scalping the shit out of him. which is, we do have easy boards on the way. We only have 100, so if you guys are thinking you guys want an easy board, like that's basically going to be the last of them for a while. I literally do not know how long it's going to be till we can get supplies on them. Yeah, he said my easy board's not working. I saw a spark when I was tightening the heat brake and it went out. Yep. Metal tools near the hot end will do that. You got to be very careful. Yeah, I'm just seeing if I can see anything on here. If it was quick and it just went out, not going to see too much on it. I will do the little alcohol trick, but pretty cut and dry when the customer tells you what they were doing before the failure occurred. Chances are if they're screwing with the hot end before the failure occurred, especially if they saw sparks, you can probably assume... Why is this camera, like, stops working on me? I have to replug it every stream. Might have to replace it. Deactivate, reactivate. Hey, that worked. Okay. So I know I'm pretty... Oh, you can see a little bit right in the center here. It's hard to see, but, like, you can see a little bit of indentation here. That's where you see it when the hot end is. The hot end is the culprit or the bed, because those I/O pins enter the CPU die right around there. But we should be able to see something, I'm assuming. I can see a tiny bit. But if they don't hold it on there, it's hard to tell. So, but whatever, this processor is going to get replaced. Yeah, this is very, very faint. You can only see a little bit, and it's hard to see. But anyways, so we're going to swap the processor is what we're going to do. We're going to put a new processor on here, and this should sort the board out. I think we're going to do the scope today. I was going to use this overhead one, but I'm going to push that out of the way. We're going to get our scope in place. What I'm going to do is put this in the side so you guys can see. So let's get this all framed up. There you guys can see Clara under my desk there. Big ass dog under my desk. So I'll invert the picture in the scope view here. Let's see. Arm cam 2. There we go. Perfect. So you guys can just have another angle of me working. Let's see. I'm not going to be answering too many tech questions or any at all. I will later on towards the end of the stream, but not initially. So, all right, let me get my fume extractor in place here. And let's go ahead and channel our inner Lewis Rossman and flex it up. There we go. And I know my low melting point stuff is somewhere. There's really not that many. Gotta remember, we've got thousands of boards out there. I've maybe seen 50 of these, if that. It's pretty easy to do if you're not paying attention. So, I've only ever done it once on a printer, and that's all it took. That was on my my Wanhao i3 Mini. I had to replace its CPU. The 2560 is what got screwed on that one. So I just took it off of a Arduino Mega and swapped it out. Mainly because I didn't want to swap that board to something custom, and their boards are just hard to find, so I figured I'll repair it. And that one was a quick short, and sometimes what you'll see with the quick shorts is you won't kill the processor. It will just make the temp reading super high all the time, or even throw a max temp error as soon as you turn the printer on, even if there's no thermistor plugged in, just because that I/O pin is just completely screwed on the processor. So basically, if you're futzing around with your hot end and your board just stops working, whether it's, you know, this or any other board, it's probably safe to assume that the processor took a hit. And the thing is that you always have the positive 24-volt line or 12-volt line, depending on what your printer runs on. That is always hot, so to speak. Your MOSFETs are switching the ground. So even if the hot end is not being told to heat, you can still short it because that 24-volt positive is still there. Now, if you ground the negative out, or, you know, bridge the negative over to the thermistor, it's just going to read high, but it's not going to damage it. The issue comes when you send that higher voltage into the I/O pin. That's where the failure occurs. Because, like, the I/O pins on the LPC, this is a 3.3 volt processor. Some of the pins are 5 volt tolerant, meaning you can put 5 volts into them, and it won't cook it. I'm waiting for this to cool down so I can wipe the flux off the top. I don't want to gunk up my little vacuum pickup tool here. So basically, the pins, most of the pins on the 32 bits, you'll get a lot of them where they are 5 volt tolerant, meaning you can put 5 volts into them. I do believe they do that just for backwards compatibility with you know, the 8-bit boards. Those processors traditionally used 5 volt logic and, you know, signal levels. So they have that for backwards compatibility. But if you put more than that in there, you're going to end up frying the chip. So there we go. Just like that, the CPU is off. And go ahead and cut us a fresh piece of solder wick. And I'll usually just take my soldering iron and get as much of the low melt stuff off with the iron as possible. Less work the wick has to do. I'm using MG Chemicals No Clean, number 8341. I always use, so all the flux I use here for repairs, and just in general, even my solder, I use Kester brand solder for regular roll solder. And I use, I think, SRA for the paste that I'm going to use on this. But those are all No Clean Flux solders and fluxes, because regular flux is very corrosive. Like, flux is meant to be cleaning, you know, a cleaning agent, so you can get a nice clean connection between what the thing you're soldering and what you're soldering onto. The problem is the cheaper stuff can corrode whatever you're soldering on over time. So, but the No Clean Flux is much less harsh on the stuff and doesn't corrode. So I use No Clean on there, and I do use MG Chemicals Flux Remover when I'm done working on a board. I do that off stream because it's loud. I'll take it and wash the whole board with that, spray it down, scrub it with a little toothbrush, get all the flux out as much as I can, and then I'll take my air tool and just blow it all off, make sure I get it all off, and it all kind of evaporates. It's like basically acetone and acetone IPA and a bunch of other stuff. So, but yeah, the No Clean Flux is a lot better to use, especially if you're not sure if you got everything off, because like I don't have a solder bath or a solder flux, not solder bath, but like a flux remover bath that they run boards through. I just have cans of the stuff, so it's all manual. But like I said, I get it off just to clean it up, and if I don't get it all off, it's not that big of a deal because it's No Clean stuff. So, all right, let's get this chip on here. Enough, Remo. If he keeps whining, I'm just gonna put him in the put him in his crate in the house. It's pretty damn close. Now we'll just nudge this in place. Get her lined up on the pads. Actually looking pretty good there. All right, so what I do, and there's a bunch of different ways you can do this. So I'll use the paste initially, like you see here. And then I'll take my hot air station here. I got this set to 300. And then we're going to use this to set the chip on here. And then I'll do the final touch up with the actual iron and some additional flux. So I had one guy that he fried his processor, like there was a crater in it, so it was pretty obvious what happened there. Short of the hot end, and wanted to get it repaired, and he's like, well, I don't want to pay the $60. I was like, well, the chips cost us, you know, anywhere from 14 to 20 depending on what I bought them at, and you know, my time. And he's like, yeah, well, I've seen you do it. It only takes you like 15-20 minutes. I was like, well, I also flash the bootloader, test the board, test everything to make sure it works, the drivers, the end stops, the thermistors, the MOSFETs, like make sure everything works post-repair as new. You know, and I'm also using about $1,200 worth of equipment right now to do this repair. So, you know, basically told him, like, that's the price. Like, you know, take it or leave it. I'm not coming down on it, because any lower than that, like, arguably, I don't think you can find any company that will do this type of repair for $60, including the part. They're going to charge a lot more. I don't really make, like, this isn't a revenue generating thing. I do it just because I don't want to see the boards go in the trash because someone shorted them out. You know. But yeah, I basically use the solder paste and the hot air. Enough. Lay down. I use the solder paste and the air to get it set. You can see there it went on the pads nicely. And then I'm going to add some flux, and then we'll do the final soldering with the actual iron here. Because I don't have a stencil for this processor. But it's fine. It takes just a little extra time to do manually, but done enough of these now. So then we're just going to go ahead and come in here with the soldering iron. And just do a drag. I might add just a little bit of flux to this. Just a wee bit. Oh yeah, there we go. You can really never have too much flux. I'm just making sure I get all the little solder balls up. Don't want to have any stragglers. That looks good. Probably do one more pass on this side. Come over here. And we just got this side left, and we'll clean up the legs. And the reason I do a couple passes, I want to make sure that there's any solder paste, like the little balls that are in the solder paste. I want to make sure that if there's any behind here, it's getting pulled in. So it's not behind the legs to short out later. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is clean up. You see how we got these excess solder I said these, doesn't make any sense, but we have the excess solder on the pads here. We're just going to take the wick and wick that away. And now you just come in, just touch it up one more time. There we go. It's looking good. Let me get some fresh wick here. I just dropped my side cutters. All right. How's that looking? Looking good. We're on all the pads. It's slightly crooked, I think, but nothing's bridged, so we're good. So let's just take a closer look here for you guys, for you nerds. I'm assuming you guys are nerds because you're sitting here watching a guy solder on a Friday night at 3 a.m. Well, 3 a.m. my time. So, yeah, those are all good. Looking good. Yeah, I'm using a Hakko FX951 station with the pencil point. All right, let's see what this next one has in store for us. Let's see, ticket 10362. So basically what I have to do after the CPU is replaced is clean it, and then I hook a FT232R serial adapter up to it, and then load the bootloader, and then I flash the firmware, and then it gets hooked up to 4 motors, hot end heater, thermistor, bed. I've got pre-calibrated ones. Check the outputs on the MOSFETs for the hot end, the bed, the fans, and just make sure everything works correctly. So let's see. You were just outside. You do not need anything. And he lays back down. Little shit. This one is a guy named Jeff. I meant to do these boards. If you keep wanting, your choices are in here or in your crate. That's what I thought. He said, I just had a short. Was wondering if you guys had estimated stock date. Well, we have the processors here. Oh, it burnt the thermistor connection. Replace the thermistor and hot end with a new one. Now I'm getting max temp errors. Yeah, so remember I was talking about the max temp errors. Yeah, that's what you'll get. If you don't completely cook the CPU, you'll just lightly toast the I/O pin, and it's just going to read high all the time. I'm just checking his photos here. I'm assuming because it is, since it was a quick one, we're not going to see a ton of damage on it. I'm just saying here. And he sent another one in that the bed had an issue and cooked. So let's see what Jeff sent in. I did this stream because he's had to get done, and I figured why not have a late night hangout. Really denying the second step. I slept. I don't know if you guys caught that. Oh, look at this. Jeff, you're awesome. Look at he taped. He put each board into a little box and taped onto it the ticket number and what the issue is. So this is the bed heater short one. This is the older one, and this is the hot end one. What kind of light am I using? I've got a ring light, and I've also got, there's actually one on my scope here. So let's say board number 1. There's a screw in here. Why is there a screw in here? I'm assuming it was just from whatever box this was used for. This does not look like a screw that's on our board. It's a tiny little screw. Alright. Let's see. This is the one that he said is max temping. So let's go ahead and test this one real quick. And we'll see. Where's my little 12-volt supply? I got a tiny little 12-volt supply I use here. I just realized this is upside down. Hang on. Transform, rotate 180. There we go. So I use this little 1 amp 12-volt supply to check them because if there is a short or something, this power supply does shut off at about 1.25 amps. It's just like a little neck gear one that I put ferrules on. It's really handy for testing stuff like this. Remo, leave it. I might put him in the house in his crate. It's time for his bed anyways. All right, let's see what happens when we plug this in. Oh, there it goes. There it is. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You guys hear that? Sorry, headphone users. I realize why Remo's whining. His water is empty. Is that why you're whining? You thirsty? Hang on. Let me go top the dog's water off. Alright, that's filling up in my garage. Yeah, so. Alright. Well, yeah, I'll show you guys that one more time while we're waiting for the water to fill up. Where'd I put my whiskey? Here it is. Warning, headphone users. Give it a sec. It's going to throw the max temp. There we go. Oh, yeah. That's loud as shit. Bad firmware? No, it's a good idea, but let's rule that out. Let's rule out. He said he already ruled that out. The guy seems pretty knowledgeable on things. So, oh, hang on. Let me go get his water. I'm sorry, buddy. It's probably overflowing in my utility sink in here. Yep. All right. I know, you guys want water? Here. I'm sorry, buddy. There you go. He was out of water for a whole 10 minutes. 10 minutes. He was going to die. All right. So I'm just going to copy a firmware file from our download over to the... what's the word I'm looking for? Over to the SD card. So precompiled binaries. I'm just going to grab an Ender 3.1. Firmware.bin. And there we go. It's on the SD card. All right, let's see. So this stuff I use, the solder paste is lead-free, but I also have leaded and lead-free. I much prefer working with leaded solder. I don't know how many of you guys deal with soldering stuff, but I think the general consensus is leaded is the way to go. Alright, so we're flashing the firmware. I hear the beep. So it should say 224, I believe, or 225. Is it 225? Can't remember. I didn't pay attention to what version, but he was 224A. Yeah, so it's a 224. If it is indeed bad, yep, there it is. Alright, I'm just going to turn that off because that's annoying. So it flashed the firmware. Not a firmware issue. It's a screwed up CPU, so put a sticker on the speaker. That's a good idea. Alright. So, rinse and repeat. Let's go back to the scope view here. Pretty cut and dry there. Go CPU replacement. Yeah, so you can tell when it's a quick short, it'll just do that where you'll get the max temp error on boot. But unfortunately, you can't like jumper it to a new pin. I mean, you probably could, but the amount of time and effort would be just insane. Plus, the CPU is compromised at that point. So, come on, get in there. There we go. I probably should have waited for my iron to get the temp. I have to wait a whole 10 seconds for it to heat up. Come on, Hako. I want instant heat. Hey, stop playing with the water. Damn dog. Sorry if I just blew your guys' eardrums out. He gets yelled at a lot because he just screws with shit. They were just out. They were just outside playing for a good like 30 minutes together. And I was throwing the ball for them, so. Alright. Let me make sure he has toys within his reach. Here, did you like push all your stuff out of your lead length? Here, let's move the water a little bit. Just out of your reach so you can't play in it, you little dick. There is no fuse inside the chip. It just blows it out. It can't take the power. NXP makes good processors as long as you don't abuse them by sending, 12 or 24 volts into them on their input-output pins. They don't like that too much, as we can tell. So I'm going back and forth a bunch of times to make sure that this works in. So the way this works is this is extremely low melting point solder. And it mixes with the stuff that's already on there and makes it easy to remove. So it stays molten for a while. So I'm just hitting these all one more time. And you can see the chips wanting to move. Problem is, if I put my vacuum pickup on here, it's going to suck this flux up into it and clog it. So I got to wait for that to cool down now. The fact that it moved is it'll be ready to be picked up. So I'm going to let that cool for a sec. I'll wipe it off, and then we can use our vacuum pickup. I'm a whore for Hako. I've got a lot of their stuff. My hot air rework station is actually an A10 that I bought from the Louis Rossmann shop. And I couldn't justify the Hako. He gave the A10 a really good review. I feel like he does a lot of stuff where like he will sell stuff, but only if he actually likes it and uses it. And he did a video on this and then liked it so much he ended up getting some in to sell. And I bought one. And I also got the bent tips, which are really nice. So, I'm wondering, let's try this. I've never done this before. Let's just use the hot air to heat this up, because this is really low melting point stuff. And I'll use that to pick it up. Or use that to heat it up and then pick it up. Oh, it's getting melty. Alright, put that back in there. Oh, that works much better. I'm going to do that from now on. Just going to use the reflow to pick that up, or to heat that up before I pick it up with the tool. All right. I'm not paying much attention to chat. I see people chatting, but I just wanted to put that out there. I might do that other board. I don't know how much we're going to do the boards tonight. I wanted to at least get the CPU swap because that's the bulk of the work. And requires, you know, setup. Like, I got to get the iron ready. I got to get all my stuff out. But doing the bootloader and stuff is not that big of a deal. But then we'll probably go into a little chat here in a little bit. And I'll comb back through the live chat and see what people said. What you guys are chit-chatting about. Guys and girl. I say girl because there's probably like maybe one girl watching this. Especially this stream right now. This weird of an hour. I know our YouTube demographics. The female audience is like 0.1%, okay? So we could have one woman watching. You never know. I know Donna, she stops by on some of the streams, but those are usually during the day. I think she actually works or is up normal people hours and not degenerate hours like I'm on right now, as my brother Doug calls them. He's like, yeah, I'm on my degenerate sleep schedule. Which means there is no sleep schedule. All right. Let's get the CPU on. Ooh, did I get that, like, almost perfect the first time? Ooh, we're looking decent, but... pretty close. It's hard to tell where with the solder paste. No, we're looking pretty good. All right, I'm going to hit it with the hot air now. The blue surface is what's called solder mask. That's its job. Hey, look, I'll sip while I'm soldering. Oh, you guys can't see my head. Wait, can you see the main cam? Oh, the main cam. There it is. It's right there. So what I'm doing right now, looks like I'm staring off to the side. I'm actually looking at my monitor that has OBS on it. It's so satisfying to watch it all pull towards the pins. I have the hot air at 300 right now. I could probably go down a little bit, but it takes forever. Like I said, I'm not actually using the hot air to do this solder. I'm just using it to set the chip onto the pad, so when I go to solder, it's not moving around on me. Instead of, you could also just touch up the edge, but that's always a pain. I have to get more of that whiskey. That stuff's good. All right, we just need to give that a sec to cool down. Let me scroll through chat while I'm waiting for that to cool down. Was this stream scheduled or impromptu? Kind of both. I scheduled it at like 2 a.m. So like 30 minutes heads up. The iron can technically damage the solder mask, but it takes a lot of heat and leaving it on there for a long time. Yeah, I only have, what am I down to? I've only got 3 processors left, so I got one more here. We told the guys we can't do any more board repairs till I get more processors. Oh, I was like, so when the flex plates, especially texture ones, start cooling, they make like the print makes this like crackling sound, and it always freaks me out because I hear something like crackling behind me, and I forget it's the print every single time. So that's a good good thing to bring up. So Vape to Live is saying it's interesting that the hot air doesn't move desolder the other components. It's because the solder I use to repair these is a lower melting point than the stuff that's used on the board. Because these boards actually go through a reflow oven. The melting point on this is like 137C, which I call BS on. Maybe if you have it on there for a while. It doesn't flow well at that lower temperature. Maybe in an oven it works well, but for the way I do work here, it does not work well. So, and I'm not sure what NXP recommends for the max temp, but I've never burned a processor up at 300, so. Let's see. So you see those little solder balls that kind of like just work their way away. I want to grab those. Yeah, so if you guys have, if you have or end up shorting your board, I have Griffin, our engineer. He has, I think he said he's got 6 LPC 1769s, and I sent him a shipping label to send those to me because he had them from when we were in the prototyping phase. So maybe I'll have a couple more, but these chips are very hard to find. And if you can find them, they're like $60 a piece. And obviously, if I'm paying $60 a processor, can't have them made for the same price we sell them at, and also can't do repairs for $60. So, but I mean, I guess if we don't have boards, whatever. I mean, if somebody has a 1769 or can source one and wants to send in with repair, then I can do the repair. But these are all the processors I have left. So be careful with your boards in general. Not just our stuff too. Like a lot of the other components are getting hard to find, even the STM stuff. So I don't know if you guys noticed, but Big Tree Tech stopped selling their SKR boards. There's some out there still just because they're older stock. But those use the NXP processors, which is what we use here. And they can't get them for the normal price anyways. Or just like we can. They can't get the normal price. I'm going to blame the whiskey. I'm starting to slur my words, apparently. Although, I feel like my hands are less shaky now that I've had a little bit to drink. Because usually my hands are kind of shaky, but they're looking a lot better. You know, it's funny to show you how much public school teachers know. They told my parents when I was younger that I'm never going to have good motor skills because I had trouble apparently using scissors when I was younger. Joke's on you, idiots. Look at me now. Yeah, we're looking at some sort of protection circuit when we get around to doing a revision on the easy boards to try to mitigate that. The problem is you run into hiccups with impacting the actual readings for the thermistor, so we got to figure out how to do it without interrupting the reading for the thermistor. But I'm sure it can be done. Griffin's been working on that. So... all right, well, that's the second one. Let's go back to the camera here, and let's see what this other one does that he sent in. And get our terminals connected here for our 12 volt. Yeah, the thing is, like, even if you add a fuse, it's only gonna, like, it's more of like it's there and might prevent, like, half of the shorts. But if you get a bad enough one, or one that sends enough voltage in and current in, you know, it could still damage the processor. So let's see what this one does when I plug it in. Oh, that's on a really old version of Marlin. I'm going to cover the beeper with my finger just in case it beeps. This is reading negative 14 and 0. He said he had an issue with the bed thermistor on this one. His printer apparently was named Captain Tight Pants. That's kind of funny. All right, let's reflash this one and see. All right. Cut the power for the processor. Let's go ahead and flash that. Let me grab my test leads here. So I've got two. We've got one. This will read about right around 205. It should read between 204 206 on the E. And this one should read around like 85 to 87 on the bed. And it's reading 85 to 87. Let's see what happens when I unplug it. There is something fucky on here. This should be reading negative 14 if it's unplugged, not negative 8. So you see how these are both set to the same thermistor and firmware? You see how this one's reading negative 14 and it's staying there? Whereas this one's floating around. So yeah, that I/O pin's damaged. All right. That's a dead giveaway. On our firmware anyways, if you're, or in general, if you're using Marlin #1 thermistor setting, if you have nothing plugged into it, it should read negative 14. If it doesn't, then there's something screwed up with the board. So, all right. Just, there's all the more reason, check your wiring, because you could get issues too, just from wear and tear on the machine, where like wires start fraying and they make contact to where they shouldn't. And I'd highly recommend regularly checking up on your machines at least once a month. Just to make sure that your wiring's in good shape. Make sure that there's no frays. And then be extremely careful when you're working on stuff with the power on, or like, you know, doing a nozzle swap or changing a heat break, because all it takes is a split second of that higher power entering the input output pin to cause damage. So but this should fix it right up. The CPU and the bed I/O pins, if they get shorted, they manifest in the same way. They show the same kind of issues where you have, you know, either the higher temp all the time or a max temp error, or in more severe cases, the burn marks in like this area of the processor die, or package, I should say. The die is inside the package. The plastic is called the package. But when the die heats up, it deforms the plastic package. And if you really royally screw it, you'll even get little craters on it. Like, I don't like doing these board repairs, so the more I can educate people on properly handling their machines and frying less of their boards, whether it's our board or someone else's, the better. Yeah, that would be good, Scott. Like, -14 or error or something. That'd be a solid idea. All right. Okay, like I said, let it cool. We'll clean the flux off, heat it up with the air, and put a new one on there. I have a few machines here that are still running Melzy boards, Scott. Because, you know what? They don't have a ton of space. They're not that fast, but, you know, at the end of the day, for normal speed printing, they do work just fine. I have been switching a lot of my machines over to 32-bit processors. Usually it's like I've got a couple Duet machines here. I won't be buying any more Duet boards. They were a pain in the ass to set up. But my 32-bit machines consist of obviously easy boards. I've got quite a few easy board machines in my office here. My Ender 6 still has the Creality board in it. I'm just going to use that till it gives up the ghost. And then MKS SGNL boards. What's the most common way? Wire brush cleaning the hot end, or pliers on the block when they're changing a nozzle or something. Yeah, Scott, when's the next release of Marlin coming out? JK, I know when it's coming out. When it's ready. I'm just wondering how close you guys are. You don't have to answer if you don't want to. I'm curious how close you are to the next release, because if you're close, I'm going to start getting a bug fix based Unified 2 staged, so I at least have a head start. Yeah, people do that with the printer powered. If you do it with the power off, you can't short it, but people do it all the time. I even cut my power now on my printers when I'm like swapping a nozzle. So obviously you got to do it when the printer's hot. So the trick is you just heat it up to a little bit higher than you need, like 240, 250, and then work fast. So once it's at temp, cut the power, work quickly, and then turn it back on. Or, you know, just be very, very careful when you're working on it. It's really a thing about being careful. That's the issue. People are just not careful when they're doing stuff on their printers. Or, like I said, it could just be a maintenance thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be somebody, you know, was just being careless and shorted it out. It could just be that you wear and tear on the machine, and you have a situation where you've got wires that are fraying and they touch things they shouldn't. I've seen that happen quite a few times. We try to go over all of our machines at least once a month here, just to do inspections on all that kind of stuff to make sure that we're not seeing wire frays and other stuff. So, and we've caught potential issues that would have triggered thermal runaway multiple times. So it's worth it to do maintenance checks. And like, if you guys order from us, there's actually a little card in there that not only has like information on where to get like downloads and product information for our products, but there's also maintenance reminders on there to do checks on your machine. So you guys got to remember, this isn't like, these aren't inkjet printers, like you go buy from Best Buy and plug them in and you just change the ink cartridges out once in a while and clean the heads once in a while. Like these are machines, these are things that require maintenance. You don't just drive your car and never do anything to it. I mean, some people do. If you do, you're an idiot. But you have to maintain them. So speaking of maintaining cars, I had to order a new siren module for the wagon, and I found out the old module, when the batteries go, they have nickel metal hydride batteries in them. When they go, they leak all over the PCB and cause a short, and it makes random chirping noises. So my alarm on the wagon was making all sorts of noises, and it's in the garage right now, and I ended up ordering a new module, and it is in the driver's side wheel well behind the splash guard, so that'll be fun. I'll be working on that next weekend. Hopefully, if everything comes in, it says it'll be here on Wednesday, so. But also was causing phantom battery drain on my car, which I couldn't figure out. Well, it was just sapping power from the batteries, and I put on a battery tender, and that sorted it out, but then started making the chirping noise. And one of our guys was like, hey, your car alarm is just like going off at random. So it's in the garage, and I pulled the alarm fuse so it's quiet. And I put a current clamp on it, and when I pulled the fuse, the like idle draw on the car went down by like 0.5 amp. So that would be why my batteries kept going flat on it if I didn't drive it, a couple times a week. So I don't go out too often. And I don't drive the wagon as my primary car. I drive my HHR mostly. But the wagon's more of like my backup / winter car because it's all-wheel drive. But I like driving my HHR. There we go. That looks good. This is the Hako 394 vacuum pickup. That little tool's like $100, but it makes doing the repairs a lot easier, so I could justify it. I've got the HHR SS with the GM Performance package on it. I'm going to be really sad when I have to replace that car. It's getting to be that age where just a lot of little stuff is breaking on it. Like, my motorized mirrors don't work anymore, and one of my windshield washers doesn't squirt anymore. So, the windshield washer should be pretty easy. I'm assuming the tube, like, came off or broke or something. I just need to replace the sprayer. But that car's a lot of fun. It's got a 2-liter turbo in it, and when I had it dynoed, because I had a tune done on it, I did the GM Performance package. It's like their stage 1. And then I had it tuned. I mean, it's making like 300 horse at the wheels and 340 foot-pounds of torque. So it's a fun little wagon. And the best part is nobody expects it because it's an HHR. My mom also has an HHR, and Samantha's mom has an HHR. It's definitely not a definitely not like a super cool car, but I like stuff that's a little off the beaten path, so to speak. All right, we're gonna let that cool, and then I'm gonna flux it and touch it up with the iron. All right. See, if I don't let it cool, if I go to touch it, it's going to shift. And there's nothing worse than trying to straighten out a chip. Been there, done that. Not fun. Nobody likes a dirty tip. Even though these aren't like my favorite thing to do, it is oddly satisfying. I don't mind soldering. I do got to do a personal soldering project this weekend. I got locking toggle switches in to put on my Spectrum DX9 so I can wire power from my Crossfire module to it instead of having to pull a plug on the back. So that'll be fun. I was like skeptical about the Crossfire stuff because a lot of the guys here run it. Quite a few of our guys are into drones here. And Spectrum had an update for the DX9 that allows you to use the Crossfire transmitter with it. And so I did that upgrade. And I did not think I was going to see a difference in terms of like the response time, but it definitely feels a lot more responsive. And I haven't got anywhere close to fail-safing, which is nice, because my Spectrum got real close when I started to go out a little bit of ways. The signal was getting kind of sketchy, and I would come back, but now I feel like I've got the confidence in the technology to go a little bit further. I definitely get more range out of my transmitter and receiver than my video. So, and just in case, like let's say I'm flying out far and I lose video, I do have a GPS module on it, so I can just flip a switch on my transmitter and that'll initiate the return to home, and then I can turn that off once I get video back and fly it back home. Or I can just let it fly back. It does actually land it, which is surprising. It's not the best landing, but it gets it back. So, all right, let's just give that a good look over here. Looking good. No bridges. All the connections look good. All right. When do I find time to fly drones? It's usually random. Sometimes the guys will tell me, hey, I'm bringing my drones with. Do you want to fly after work? And that's usually when we do it. But let's go back to the... I meant to click main instead of main monitor. Now's the time where we go through chat. So let me take this off. I do have a couple printers here that I want to do videos on. I have the Solval SVO3, I have the SVO2, but that's a Amazon return, so who knows what the hell kind of condition that's going to be in. I'm going to turn this off because this is really bright. Hopefully you guys can still see me okay. Is this work? Props to Sony though. The low light performance on these cameras are pretty dang good. I'm pretty happy with them. So, got the CPUs swapped. I'll use a programmer. Where are they? Here they are. So use one of these guys here. You got your 3.3 volt ground TX and RX. This goes to the serial header on the board. We'll program them. I'm going to put that to 3.3. I was doing something with a 5 volt item, but this is little jumpers for different voltage settings for 5 volt, 3.3, and I think 1.8. So burn the bootloader with this, and then you flash the firmware with the SD card, and then the board's back to new. And then I've got a stash of motors and other stuff over there. Oh, I was like, what is that noise? It's my Ender 6. The Ender 6 is very creaky. I am liking this printer, but it creaks a lot. And I haven't quite figured out why. So, but yeah, let's see what's in chat here. Let's go back through. I'm almost done with this. Everybody keeps asking me about this Voxelab. I think I saw that. Let's take a look. You guys keep asking me about this Voxelab. This one? Is this one you guys are talking about? I see a color screen, which means it's probably DWin. I think someone said, hang on. Oh yeah, DWin screen. Ugh. What board is in this, though? This looks very Creality-esque. Is this a one that they're... This looks like this might be like a Solval type thing where Creality's OEMing for them. Unless this is just they knocked off a lot of Creality style of stuff. Is this one you guys are talking about? People keep asking about that. It's only 160 bucks. It's got 4.3 stars out of 179 ratings. That's really surprising. Although there's a couple of listings. It's junk. Great printer for beginners. Doesn't look terrible. You think this is worth me picking up? Just to do a video on? I mean, it's not terribly expensive. This says it's sold by FlashForge. Is this like a FlashForge sub-brand? What do you guys think? Should I expense another printer? This looks like Creality is the OEM for this. Okay, here's what I'm saying. The bed, the cute, like the printer sticker, the packaging style, the bed strain. I mean, obviously the companies can knock them off, but I look at all these little details on stuff when I'm like scoping out a new machine. Are there any more close-ups here? Oh, hang on. Okay, same style cable Creality uses. Creality likes using these like 10-color cables. I'm just wondering here. Go for it. Are there any pictures of... It's got... The end stops look like Creality end stops. You can see one there. The board looks like a Creality board. If I can swap the screen... Who's got one of these? Who's got one of these, okay? I was checking fan player with a multimeter, accidentally crossed the contact, heard a pop. Now no other fans in power supply on. Yeah, you probably fried it. This looks like Creality makes it. Look at the style of the LCD housing. This looks like the Ender 3 style LCD. I'm curious enough, I might just buy it. This looks like the Ender 3 V2 and the spacing. Now, again, this could just be a knockoff, but... Ugh, Fortnite. Ugh. Hey guys, I made a Fortnite thing. Squeakers. I'm very interested. I feel like this is a spin-off of Creality. Or it's like Solval, where it's another company, but they have Creality OEM it. Alright. I'll bite. People ask about them all the time. So... This one's sold by Voxelab Technologies, so... Alright. I'll bite. I'll bite. I'm checking out right now. Says, Amazon, I hate giving money to Amazon, but... You know what? If it really sucks, I can return it. Alright. It's ordered. I need to save the invoice to our receipts folder so Samantha doesn't yell at me. Alright, to buying more Chinese printers that I have no use for. Let's see. Receipts folder, Amazon. Save. Okay, so I just spent $181 on a printer I don't need. You guys all better watch the damn stream. Every person that's asked me about the Voxelab better watch that damn stream. Although YouTube doesn't, like... I don't know if you guys know, we make like $50 a month on ad revenue on the site. I'm really just contemplating turning off monetization. The only concern I have is, from what I understand, if you don't have a monetized channel, they don't promote your stuff as much, which would be bad for the channel, which is the reason I leave it on. I usually turn off the non-skippable videos and stuff. So... Let's see here. All right. So we got that. Let's go back to chat. Where'd my chat window go? All right. Does nobody in the chat have that printer? "3D Wildcat says it's junk. Looks like there's an address problem on my order, but I fixed it. Thanks. Didn't know until you called and left a message." Yeah, our team is pretty good. Vape to live asked about a recent stream. You're concerned about plugging in the USB without your power blocker. So I ordered one because I print from USB sometimes. What's the real poop on that risk? I'd say it's low, but all it takes is a couple times where you have like your bed and hot and heated, or even your motors engaged, and it tries to pull too much current. You know, it only takes a couple times. Now, most computers have built-in overcurrent protection, but that's more of a extra, and you shouldn't rely on that kind of fail-safe. I have one on my Ender 6 hooked up to one of our Easy Pies because I don't want the screen staying on, and I don't want it to surge the Pi's USB ports. So, have I been using the CR30 much? I haven't, because it's not really a printer that our application uses. That's more that the CR30 is a printer for printing long things. I did tell Joe, I don't know if he took it with him, but he was interested in it and playing with it, so I told him if he wanted to borrow it, he could. But yeah, I mean, I've used it a couple times to do just miscellaneous prints on it, and it's been working. The hardware is good. It's just the software that's a pain to get set up. We've been, like, when I was using Idea Maker, and I get good prints with the Idea Maker profile. Ashley Merrick says, I installed a tough extruder during retraction. It's fine. When it feeds the filament back in, it makes a pretty large noise. I checked and the gears aren't slippery or anything like that. Sounds like you might be doing your retracts and extrudes too fast. I don't know what printer you're using on. I don't know what board you're using it on. But if it's making like a grinding, like a like that kind of noise, that's a stepper losing steps. And sometimes, like on certain boards, like the Creality boards, they have like trinamic drivers that are stuck in stealth chop mode, which have like fuck all for torque. You can try upping the VREF. If you're still here, I don't know if you're still here watching, but yeah, give me some more information if you're still watching. Yeah, I'm curious about that one too. So I didn't realize that one was only 160 bucks. Basically, if a printer's like under 200 bucks, I'll usually bite if it seems interesting enough. Like that one had enough interesting stuff that I'll bite. But yeah, like in terms of like the stepper losing the steps and making like a noise, you can slow down how fast it's extruding or retracting, and you're basically going to then cut down on how fast the motor's moving, so it needs less torque because it's moving slower. You also might have the tension set too high. So I usually leave the tension on our tough extruders right, if you look in the little window on the back of it, and there's a picture of that on the product page, I usually leave the little nut in like the center of the little window that it shows. I'm just going to peruse through chat real quick again. I don't apparently have all the chat, but I've got some. See if there's any other questions here before I wrap this up, because it's almost 4 a.m. It's not too bad, an hour and a half. Got a couple boards on, so I'll clean these tomorrow, get them flash and test, and then back out to the people. So I just got to remember these two are for, I think it was Jeff. Yeah, that's for Jeff. And then I got Kelly's board over there. I like to send people back the board they sent in. So, anyways, I think that'll wrap this up. I appreciate everybody stopping by. I'm surprised we got 53 viewers. The giveaway is open. I'm going to close it when we wrap the stream up, but Nightbot's been plugging away like he should. So, anyways, I will catch you guys on the next stream. I'm going to try to stream one more time this weekend. So, Samantha is out of town. She's visiting her friend up in Wisconsin. She's also bringing me back some more spotted cow because I'm getting low. But yeah, appreciate everybody that stopped by. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you had a good time. And if you guys ever want to hang out, you can catch me in the Discord server. That's usually where I actually spend time. I'm just looking over my stream deck because I'm getting ready to roll the outro. But I don't usually spend too much time on Facebook. I literally just go on Facebook and Twitter just for company related stuff. But in terms of, like a social media type platform that I use, you can catch me over on Discord. So anyways, if you do join our Discord server, if you nitro boost the server, or if you're just a regular and move up, there's like a level system. So the more active you are, you level up. There's a VIP section, and that's usually where I spend time there. So just fewer people and, most dedicated people to the Discord server. So I like Discord if you couldn't tell. Anyways, it was fun hanging out with you guys. I hope you guys learned something. As always, happy printing and have a good weekend. Cheers.